Thank you everyone for being here tonight. I hope I have some content that you will find useful not only for your club websites, but also for any website that you happen to have created for your personal use or for your business. So tonight, what I'm going to share with you are some very basic ideas, hopefully that will engender some thoughts for you on your websites. So Eldred, would you please flip the slide for me? Thank you. One of the first questions that I have for you is your website attracting visitors or chasing them away? And you say, oh my, I don't want to chase them away. But are you giving your visitors the content they need in order to stay on your website for longer than 15 seconds? In doing the research for tonight, and of course I use the web as everybody else does these days, I found that there are several different ideas that I will share with you tonight and I want you to think about. So Eldred, would you please change the slide for me? Thank you. So the first question would be, why do you have a website? What's the point? I want you to think about that a second. Why do you have a website? And the answer is not because everybody else does. That's not a good reason. So why do you have a website? Or conversely, since this is Toastmasters, why does your club have a website? What's its purpose? All right, while you're thinking about that, let's change the slide. So then the question is, who are you attracting to your website? Are they people that are interested in what you have to sell, to share, or to visit your Toastmasters club, or not? So how do we figure out who you want to visit your website? And just don't tell me, everyone, we want everyone to come visit us, because that does you no good. When you think that way, then nobody's going to come. Years ago, our current webmaster helped me set up a website. And she asked me, who is your ideal visitor? What's their age? What do they do for a living? What's their pain point? What are you trying to solve for them? Well, I tell you, that type of questioning set me back a pace, because I was starting a company that I didn't really have good answers for. And what she told me, and what I have since discovered on the web, is if you don't know who your message is targeted to, then you might as well just close down your website and go away, because nobody's coming to visit. So think about that. Who is your ideal visitor? For a Toastmasters club, what is the age group that you're targeting? Is it the stay-at-home moms? How about the dads there, or the wives, or the girlfriends, or people in general who are trying to advance in their career? Are you there to help them? If so, what age group is your ideal visitor? Is it the mid-career guy? Maybe the guy that's just starting out in his career? Or the girl who just got a promotion and is looking for some help because now she has to give presentations? Say it's not a Toastmasters site. Say you are in real estate. Who's your target market? Is it that brand new couple that is buying their first home with a child on the way? Or is it that up and coming career person? You need to sit down before you do anything and decide who that person is. Because once you know who that is, then everything else like puzzle pieces, starts to fall into place. So let's go ahead and flip that slide there, Mr. Eldred. So once you know who your target market is, who you're trying to reach, then it might be time to take a look at the website you already have, whether it's your club website or your business website or your personal website. What does it look like? Is it look like something out of the 80s with the wrong colors? Is it current? Is it modern? Is it so full of text that people just pass through? They don't even stay long enough to read anything. Things for you to think about. When you go out onto the web and you do some research about what's current, what's modern, you may be surprised to find that what was in last year is no longer in. You know, I'm not suggesting that like clothing, you change your look every year, but it might be wise to take a look at it and see if in fact you are getting the number of visitors that you want. Do you say, how do I know if I'm getting the visitors that I want? Well, what did I just tell you? I said, think of a profile of the person that you want to attract, and then start watching to see if indeed those are the people that are coming to you after seeing your website. Sounds like a catch-22, doesn't it? Well, for me, it kind of is. If I don't know who my ideal client is, or visitor, or customer, or member who may come to us, then how do I know what to do? So here's some thoughts for you. Take a look at current colors in the world. Years ago, when I decided I was going to set up a website, and I went to our current district webmaster, Brenda, and I said, these are the colors I want to use. They were the ones I used in high school, green and gold. She says, how outmoded can you get? In kind of that tone of voice in a webmail, it wasn't pleasant. And then I thought maybe I shouldn't be looking at colors I like, but at colors that would attract visitors. Now, if you're thinking about your club website, we usually have two choices, Easy Speak or Free Toast Host. Neither of which are really conducive to bringing people to your club if they don't already know you exist. I did contact the Free Toast Host folks, and I said, when are you going to get away from the sidebar? Because sidebars, my dear friends, in their current look of Free Toast Host, are so 1980s. So 1980s. Nobody does them like that anymore. Well, needless to say, I got a very tepid response. We updated it 3 years ago. Go away, leave us alone. So I did. But what I did find out about that particular format is that it really is better based for blogging. So if you're doing current content and you want to keep people up to date, then the Free Toast Host works well. Now, if you're an Easy Speak fan, and I choose not to take political sides on this, nor am I going to have a debate between one and the other, even though it might be interesting to do so. With Easy Speak, it is so text laden and so heavy with text when you first open it, no one is interested in reading that, and they won't. Current studies from some group on the line, and right now it escapes me, the people who do the surveys, they say 15 seconds is all you can expect for someone to stay on your website, unless you have a way of really engaging them so that they come back for more. And that requires you to have something on there, and we'll talk more about that, that brings them back. But let's talk about what you've got in front of you. Let's talk about typography. That's the fonts that you're using. Think about some of the fonts that are out there in the world today. Now, I'm not talking the scary fonts for Halloween, but some of the very clean, very sharp fonts that would do really well for headings. Those draw people's interest. And when you do that, then they might go a little bit further into your website. Think about using bullet points. People don't read line for line for line anymore. They skip around on your website looking for the information that they need. So good typography, good headlines will work well for you. Now, what you should be doing when you're doing that is picking a font for your average text that is easy and clean to read. I know that when we do television, we are told don't use the serif fonts. Now, those are the ones that got the little tails all over the place, like New Times Roman. Don't use those, because what they do is they make the space between letters cluttered. You're looking for typography that is sharp and clean and easy to read. Even when they bring it up to a high font, or bring it in as far as they can, it's still sometimes difficult to read with all those little tails hanging out there. So take those away and use the sans serif fonts. So enough about fonts. Something else you need to know is that when people look at your website, again, like I said, they don't read word for word. They go in a Z pattern from the left to the right, down to the corner, and then back. So figure a Z. Think Zorro. So where you want to put your biggest points, the things you really want them to see, is in the left. Let's see, I have to do this backwards. From the left, put your main point to the right, and then down at the bottom of that Z, you want to put your call to action, okay? So that when people's eyesight goes like that, I got to stay within frame, they will see it. Now, when you're doing that, think about white space. It's really important to have as much white space as you can without having a blank page. When people come to a website, they aren't looking to read your text, folks. I'm telling you, they're not reading your text. So give them what they need in the shortest amount of eye movement as possible. That doesn't mean that they have to stay above the fold like we used to do in newspapers. They can scroll. People will scroll. They do know how to use that. Turn that back. Oh, there's white space. Yes. I set this up just as an example, and this is all above the fold. And I used this because I thought it was kind of fun. I've got a call to action there where it says join our meeting, and they press the button, they join the meeting. What I started on the other side was a bit of an article that people can contact you to get the content. What does that do for you? It gives you their contact information so you can reach out to them, whether it's Toastmasters or not, the next time that you have something very valuable that you want to tell them. But this is not the only pattern that people use. They also use, and I don't have a copy of this, they will also read in an F fashion, where you start the F, then they come back and they go down a little bit, they read a little more, and they come back. If you've got a text-laden page, that's what you use for that. That's how the people read anyway. So the less space, less you have on your page, the more white space, the easier it is on the eyes, it's easier it is for people to find what they're looking for. In the case of this Toastmasters Club, XYZ Toastmasters, you can see that they have a call to action there. Click here if you want to join our meeting, but they also have a byline underneath their name. We help you quell your quivers. Just some ideas, some things that I was thinking of as I went along. Now, you know that with responsive websites, when you look at these on the phone, all of that stuff on the left-hand side is stuffed at the bottom of the page. So if you think they're going to go to those links first, they're not. And since so many people are looking at your website on their phone nowadays, that's another thing for you to consider. How many links do you have? Would you be better having them scroll and bookmark as they scroll down the page? Something else for you to consider. But going back to your profile, who's your person and what do you think they're going to do on your website? Now, on many websites, you will see that they have tabs. That's great. They have the About Us, they talk about the company, etc. Now, here's a tip that I found on the web, and I thought, oh, I should have had an epiphany about this. When you're talking about the About Us, you know, that's where people put who we are, and this is our bio, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it. Think of that differently. Think of it as, what does your potential visitor want to know? They want to know how you can help them with whatever pain they've got. So my suggestion to you is to rethink those About Us and set it up so that it actually talks about how you can help your customer. Or in the case of a Toastmasters site, you might think about, what does your club do differently than the one down the street? And that, my dear friends, is starting to think about the profile of the person that you want coming to your site. Okay, Mr. Eldred, let's see what other slides we've got going on here. Oh yes, links. How many times have you gone to a website and you clicked on a link and it sits there and just looks at you? You may be lucky and it may give you a 404 error that says, that link's no good anymore. In today's changing world, you've got to keep up to date with those links. Make sure that they're working for you. And I would do this rather often, at least once a month, do a website look over and make sure that your links are really working. Now, we've all been told not to link to other websites because of the fact that they may change their links. So a lot of times when you go to link to a page and it's no longer there, it's because they have either gone out of business, especially in COVID, or they've changed the path itself. So better not to do that, to link to those types of things. So just a thought. So watch your links, make sure that they're working, because if they're not, you have just frustrated your visitor and they may be going off somewhere else where the links are not broken. So keep an eye on that. Toastmasters International, by the way, as well as George Marshall's site, has a list of links that are not working. So if your club has abandoned their website, you ought to tell Toastmasters International not to use that particular link anymore, because it could be there's somebody out there looking for your club. The same with your business. I used to have a website that I called Toastmasters for Us, and I used it to do presentations. Well, I abandoned that site years ago, and now I find it's some guy who now has it, who does Toastmasters at, you know, dinner parties, that type of thing. So make sure that your links are working and that they're current. Okay, Mr. Elder, you can go ahead and turn that page. Visitor follow-up. This is one of the main reasons that you want people to visit your website. Yes, you are selling them something, you're inviting them to come to your club, whatever it happens to be. But if you don't know who's visited, how are you going to reach out to them and invite them to your next special event or to your club meeting or to that special sale you're having on this year's widget? Some of the ways that you can do that is through lead generation. Now, I know that most of you have probably been involved with lead generation, whether you know it or not. I tend to get hooked into those particular instances when I'm reading something and I really want to read the rest of it. And they say, give us your email address and we will share with you the rest of that document. You see that a lot in blogs. You see it a lot on websites for how-tos. So if you can find a way to do that for your Toastmasters Club so that you can get in touch with people who visit your site, do it. And I don't know, I've tried looking at Free Toast Host to see if in fact there is a way to do that. I'm sure that there is through your, because they all have a contact us feature to them, where you could turn around and send somebody something that you want them to see. The same with Easy Speak. It's a little bit more flexible. For your personal website or your business website, it's a great idea for you to have something like that that you can share for free. Whether you want them to sign up for something else or not, at least you can provide that for them. Now, here's something else that I just read. And this really has nothing to do with visitor follow-up, but I want to put it in here because I've been working in television and creating videos and that type of thing. Did you know that on your club website, as well as your personal or business, that you should have a video? I know. Who would have thought that today you could have videos on club websites and everywhere else? They don't have to be long. They can be a how-to. So if for a club, for instance, you had how to get your butterflies flying in formation with this one easy tip, wonder how many people would watch that and then come to your club to learn more. Just something to consider. How-to videos are very, very popular on websites, and they generate a lot of follow-up. So think about that also. So lead generation. It can be anything from a how-to video to an article that you read. You can use Voices articles for your club websites if you want. You have my permission. Something that you can give away to your visitor that will have them come back for more. It's so important that you have repeat visitors and that they become your voice in the marketplace, whatever that marketplace happens to be, because they will draw people to your website if they are satisfied with what they saw and what they obtained from you. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you tonight. I know that we're only about 30 minutes into this. I did want to leave some time for questions, Q&A, because of the fact that there's so much more that I could have shared, and I didn't, because after all, we as adults only have a certain amount of time for this type of a presentation. So Eldred, if you want to, oh, let's do one more slide because I have my contact information up there, I believe. Yes, this is the time for the questions. So if we have any questions out there, Eldred, is there anything? I'm not hearing you because you're muted.
Well, I have a little bit more on my screen than usual, so I have to work through all of this. You mind if I? Okay.
You can go ahead and kill this. We're done with the slides.
Okay.
And that'll give you an opportunity. Somebody's got their hand raised, it looks like.
And we do have a few questions in chat.
Okay. Well, let's go to those.
First question, it looks like Leanna's already answered it, but maybe you can offer. Good. How committed should we be to the branding that Toastmasters International asks us to follow?
Well, I will tell you because A, I was in the trio, and B, because the trio is on the line as well as some of the prior trio, you must conform to the Toastmasters branding on your club websites. That means that you should take a look at the administrative protocols. Is that the right administrative bylaws? It tells you what you can and cannot do. Oh, another good place to look at for that is the Toastmasters branding manual. Mm-hmm. So here are a couple of the gotchas that I watched for when I was the, what was I, Leanna? Your public relations manager.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
They suggest that you do not show pictures of buildings on your club website. It's better to have pictures of people. You cannot put cartoons with Toastmaster branding. So the slide that I showed you, I almost changed it out, but I love that little that little cartoon, so I left it. But you cannot put branding with cartoons. A few years ago, one of our clubs had a camel. You cannot put Toastmaster branding with animals. So no cute kitten pictures or dog pictures with branding. Okay, just saying. So Sterling has to stay out of your website, Eldred. Just saying. Anything else? What else you got?
Oh, we have a question from Pilar. Quoting Pilar, I thought it was expected to have a website these days. It gives credibility, doesn't it?
I would say yes, but just having a website for having a website is a no-go. You've got to have a purpose, and you need to know who you're drawing to your website. Otherwise, why aren't you just out on Facebook? What I like about websites, to be perfectly frank, or hairy, depends on your mood today. I like a website if it has information that's valuable to your visitor. Blogs, for that reason, are so valuable to a website because it offers fresh content, hopefully quite often, so that your visitors come back time after time. And if they have the ability to take something away from your website, a white paper, whatever, then give them the opportunity to do that. And then you get them on your mailing list, and now you have someone that you can go out and talk to a lot. So yes, websites are valuable. It doesn't seem to be as much the thing anymore with Facebook and some of the other social media. It used to be the only thing there was, and there was a day when we didn't even have that. Oh, now I'm really dating myself. But yes, websites are important for holding information that you want people to find, but it shouldn't be your only method for contacting your public. Did that answer your question, Pilar? Yes, no? Okay. What else you got there?
Pilar, did that answer the second question you brought up in chat, which was a very similar question?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
And Harvey asked, if a club is revising a website, is anyone available in District 7 that can review the proposed website changes before they're displayed to the public?
PJ, are you on? There you are. Our new webmaster, would that be something he would be willing to do or not?
Well, would that be the webmaster or a PR,
yes.
The PR guy?
Well, I don't know. Either one of them.
Yeah, either one of those two guys. I can check with them to find out.
Yeah, I think that would be really valuable to this group of people.
Okay. I'll take a memo.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we'll get back to you on that.
Next question. All right, are you happy with that answer, Harvey?
Let me just ask for clarification. Is the reason to have someone review it to make sure we're following the brand manual, or to make sure that it's following Phyllis's suggestions to just attract visitors?
I think it's both. It should be both, because one, is it attractive to visitors, but also is it conforming to Toastmasters International rules?
Okay.
So you have to make sure, because it looks great from maybe my perspective, but when somebody else from a different has a different viewpoint or a different perspective, or they may see something that's that's not going to work. You better change something or something like that.
Right. Okay.
It's just like a quality control check.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
Next question from Dave Shehorn. Do you recommend putting a guest packet link for visitors? A link that would contain all the usual handouts?
I would do it just a bit differently, and yet I think you do need to send something to that visitor. is I would invite them to download something, whether it's just a white paper on how to stand in front of an audience and not be scared, something that draws them in a little bit more than just dumping information on them. Something perhaps about your club at the bottom of it. It can be a 2-pager with something about the club at the back. But remember, this is a visitor, and we're not overwhelming our visitors yet with information because they may be a first-time visitor. If not, then you could always say, please visit our website for more information and have those links available to them as part of your packet. I just wouldn't dump it all on them at once because they're not going to print it or read it if that's not what they're after.
Next question from Pilar. How many pages should have a website in a club and in a business? And how many pages are too many pages in a website?
I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think that you need enough pages to satisfy the need of your customer. And that's very, very broad because it all depends on what it is, your service, you're selling, whatever. My suggestion is that have some links in there, I guess. I prefer the websites that are clean open from one side to the other, and as I scroll down, I find information that I need. I find links that take me to different places. So that's a very simplified answer. I would say don't have old information that no longer needs to be there. Keep your website clean if you want someone to look through it, because it's much easier to maintain if you don't have a bunch of stuff that nobody looks at. Now, here's something else for you to consider. And I believe that Google can tell you, especially on a business website, who visited what pages. We can do that on the district website. I know, for instance, the people who look at voices and what articles they're looking at, so that I can start winnowing out the authors that are not interesting to people. So you just get a better sense of what you need and what you don't need. I don't think you need a ton of pages on your website. First off, think of your bandwidth. And another thing is nobody's going to read them. Have everything that you need them to see easily at hand so they don't have to go deep into your website. That would be my thought on it. That's a long round answer for what you asked. I'm sorry.
Another question from Dave Shehorn. Is there a link that will check your website for broken links?
I believe there is, and you guys are probably more savvy about that than I. But if you put into Google, again, Google is our friend, free app for checking web links. I bet it can find it for you. Okay, just a thought. I always put it in as a question in Google, and it gives me usually the answer I want. However, and I'm going to tell you this, don't ever put in just nurses. You'll get a whole bunch of stuff you really don't want to look at. I did that once looking for graphics. Not a pretty picture.
Next question from Mary Chisholm. Do you recommend keeping the Toastmasters International info that is on the homepage at the bottom of Free Toast Host?
The information, Mary, can you give me a little more about what you're looking for? I'm not getting it.
It's on Free Toast Host, the standard setup that they have. They have some clickable, I don't know, I suppose.
Yeah,
at the bottom.
They're advertising.
Well, no, it gives you all about, it tells you about why you should join Toastmasters, and it's just various templated stuff down there. And I know I've seen some clubs that take it off, and I guess I've always left it on, but I don't even know if people that come to the website even look at that.
They
Probably
don't.
not. Probably
they don't.
not.
I took it off of my website. I took it off my website because it was real estate I wanted for something else.
Yeah,
And
okay.
even if you have everything on one page so that it's a responsive website, people are only going to go so far to what they really want. And they came to your website for a reason.
Mhm.
And that's what you've got to discover. And once you know that, whatever website it is, they're not going to go any further. The answer they find is the last thing they look for.
Okay.
Think about that.
Yeah.
From Mega, can you share examples of Toastmasters Club websites that follow some of these principles?
You can actually go out to toastmasters.org. There is a whole page of links of different districts, and you can take a look at those and find the ones that fit what you're looking for. They are for all over the world. So to say, yes, there is a place for you to see those, that's where I would go. And some of them are gorgeous, and some of them, well, no. I think people think that websites are a place to talk a lot about their club, to tell everybody everything they need to know. Well, that's great, except nobody's going to read it. So the briefer you can be to draw them in, the better. I hope that helps. I'm really giving you guys broad answers. I apologize.
It's okay.
Next comment, I'm not sure if this is a comment, statement, or a question. Maybe Maren can clarify for us. She said something about sustainability year to year.
Oh, in the conversation earlier, it was like, how much is too much? And I'm like, if you can't sustain it from year to year, it's too much.
Oh, good point.
You know, like
good point.
Different levels of ability, different levels of time. So, you know, it needs to be pretty easy.
Yeah. And I heard something, actually, I tried it. This is something I didn't bring up tonight. For all of you who have those great pictures on your websites, I'm hoping that you're putting those in there as percentages instead of as, 8 by 10 or whatever you come up with. Because when you put them in there as percentages, then with these responsive websites, it will resize them for your phone. Who knew? I didn't know that till I started working on this project. So make all of your graphics, whether they're club graphics, and New Horizons have some wonderful graphics out there. Make sure they're at percentages instead of 8 by 10 or whatever. Back to you, Eldred.
We also have a comment in here about accordion files. I'm not sure what that means.
What I have been reading recently, and where I'm getting my information, guys, is I took the title of tonight, Spruce Up Your Website, and I threw it out there to, my friend Google, and got back lots and lots of links and ideas. It is saying that the accordion, which is, it's links, and the other one that they've got is that slider like we've got on the District 7 website. Says get rid of those. It takes up too much valuable real estate and nobody likes them. Just saying. What can I say? That's what I read. And I believe everything that's on the web, right? Okay, just saying.
We have no other questions in chat at the moment.
Okay. Well, I hope that some of this was valuable or it reminded you of ideas for you to look at your websites to make sure that you have the best website possible. Think about the profile. Who is your ideal customer? Now, it could be on the club websites that it's your club members, right? Let's not forget that our websites are for our club members too. Where else are you going to find the Zoom link, eh? So anyway, think about them too, because they're going to your website, the club website, for a reason. Make it easy for them because they're also a visitor. Make it easy for them to find what they're looking for. I truly believe that on any of our club websites, that the front page should be your marketing page. It's where you're drawing visitors to because you want them to come to your club meeting. Be sure you have a call to action on your club website.
Yeah.
I think a big button that says join or click here to join our meeting is about as call to action-y as you can get. Sometimes the little tiny links with the words don't really work. On my own website for feedbackers, I put it in there 3 times, and you know, I have trouble finding it every time I go because I have to go through all of that text that I haven't taken out of there yet. So think of your visitor and what you want them to do. And as you are building that front page or your home page, whatever, your text should draw your person to, your visitor to your call to action. So however you set it up, make sure that it draws them to that call to action. Okay? Because that's why they're there, right? Is to get a question answered, to visit your website, to buy your widget. And with that, Eldred, I think we're about a gift of 11 minutes to this audience.
All right. Well, thank you, Phyllis. Round of applause for Phyllis's excellent presentation tonight.
Thank you.